That in hip hop classic Patreon album review that you decided on, not us, not me, not Ken, not Beezy, not Myke. You decided. So become a Patreon today and decide what we review in terms of the classic albums for you. You guys selected Ghostface, Killah, Supreme, Clientele. A lot of damn tracks.
Would it beat out?
Yeah, would it beat out? Would it beat out?
Scarface with 11%, The Diary.
Damn.
Notorious B.I.G., Life After Death. 22%.
I can't believe it beat that.
That is crazy.
I'm not surprised.
I am.
Yeah, beating Biggie?
The second one?
Yeah, it's Biggie.
Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, 10%.
That would have been fun.
Smith and Wesson, The Shining, 1%.
Oh shit!
1%.
So that means one person say
Out of 854 people.
Hey, we love your.
You're OG for real. You real about this.
Tupac, Me Against the World, 17%.
I thought we did that though. We didn't do
All
that.
Eyes on Me with All Death.
Yeah.
All Eyes on Me.
That was
Okay,
fun,
okay.
too.
And the last one, De La Soul, Bulloon Mind State with 3%.
I'm not gonna lie, like I listened to this way after. So my first introduction to Ghostface solo albums was Fish Scale. Love that fucking album. Love this album too.
That was my real introduction too. Honestly,
Fish Scale?
Honestly speaking, I saw these albums on the shelves, but I was listening to other stuff.
Me too.
Yeah.
It has to be a Florida thing.
What year was this? 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
2000. So I was here. What did I pick up? I was. I'm afraid to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it wasn't Mr. Servo.
That was the
It was.
early 90s.
It was the
Late
last.
90s, late
It was
90s,
the last. I was still trying to hold on to the
Till all
master.
Ghetto Postage?
Not Ghetto Postage. I had bought. You know what? I was finally off of it. I had bought Only God Can Judge Me, and I was like, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Thank God I was working at the record store,
Yeah.
so I got a chance to
Gotta
hear
listen
it.
to it
Listen
first.
to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I bought
got
it.
all
That
those
was, you
free
knew
albums.
it was over.
It was over. I was like, it's over.
I feel you.
I was like the only person in the hood still holding on to Master P, man. Like for the longest, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
I gave up after the last Don.
Last done. Yeah.
I shoulda gave
I
up.
should have gave up there.
Yeah.
That's what I should have gave up too. That's what I should have gave up.
But yeah, so that, this was not my first introduction. Like I got to this way later after I met you guys, and just talking.
Oh,
hip-hop.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were still young though. Yeah, you were still what, 19, 20?
I was 21 when I met y'all. 21, 22.
You young to me.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, man.
Shit.
Fucking 34 now.
That
Man.
is fucking
Old as shit, bro.
crazy.
When I first got into this just kind of reinforced the reason why I like Ghostface and why Ghostface is my favorite Wu-Tang member, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's hard to copy Ghost's smoothness on shit, man. Like, and to think that, he came up obviously with Wu-Tang and RZA, it can be choppy. He's not always choppy, but he can be choppy. And you have some of those grittier type, like all of this wasn't clean, even though a lot of it was. But I don't know, man. It's just, Ghost is so smooth, dog. Like this nigga, he don't think about nothing. He might just have an idea. Yeah, man, just put me in the booth with the fucking big ass gold ego on the arm and shit, the robes, all the chains, and he just fucking raps, dog. Like, I don't know, man. It's real hard outside of what I just said to explain why I love Ghost so much.
And his cadence too.
Like his flow, the way his voice.
He has charisma, man. I think that's what it is. Like, I think the funny thing is, like, when they first came out right to the mainstream world, Method Man was the one that kind of propelled to the forefront.
Right.
And he was the star. But over time, Ghost actually supplanted him. Like, Method went on to do TVs, movies and shit like that. But Ghost really became like that dude out of Wu-Tang Clan.
This album really
Right.
it pushed him forward. It really
Iron
started
Man
pushing
didn't
him
really do
forward.
that much, did it?
Right.
No, because
Not on the mainstream level, no.
it was still, I guess people would consider like the first era Wu-Tang. Like this was after, but it was before Wu-Tang Forever, because Wu-Tang Forever after that was considered the second era of Wu-Tang. So like from 93 to 97, in between that, when when Liquid Swords came out, Takao, Only Built. So like when Iron Man came out, that was still part of like that first era Wu. So like it still at that time it still seemed like a Only Built for Cuban Links Part 2, because it was like Ghostface featuring Raekwon. You see, just like when Raekwon had featuring Ghostface. So it was kind of like an extension of that. What made Supreme Clientele so special was that like this was Ghostface coming out part. Like this was it almost felt like this was the album that Ghostface really wanted to make when he made Iron Man. Like, because you still had the Iron Man interludes and stuff throughout the album and everything. But I think just from an MC standpoint, this flow-wise, I think Ghostface stepped that shit up like 3 notch. Like if you listen to Iron Man, and Iron Man is a good album. Don't get it twisted. Iron Man is a really good album, but when Nutmeg first come on, the way he was white, I was like, when I first heard that, when I first popped that CD in, I was like, I remember I texted my brother like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? Because he already listened to it before me. So I had finally got it, and I had texted him like, yo, you hear this nigga flowing like this? And the fact that, you know, RZA, a lot of these beats was like, you know, RZA had to pretty much like do this from scratch again, because before, in the process of them making that, RZA, I think one of his studios that got flooded. So he had to, like, all the beats he had you know, ready for this album, he had to redo them again, because he did like a majority of this album.
Did
as
he?
well as
I thought he didn't produce most of this.
No, he did.
He did a lot of it. I mean, but this was the first time. This is another reason why this stands out so much, because usually with Wu-Tang solo, you know, when they was making their solo stuff, it was still like RZA, maybe Mathematics, maybe True Master, but for this one you had a Juju,
a bunch of other guys.
Yeah, you had Juju
There were
from the
other
Beat
guys,
Nuts.
yeah.
You had Juju from the Beat Nuts producer. You had Carlos Six, who did work with Diddy and Lotta Dark Man, who was a Wu-Tang Philly at the time. But RZA still handled like.
Cause he did like almost half of it, right? Half of this.
A little over half of it. Yeah. I didn't even look at it. Yeah, he did.
It doesn't sound like
It's a different sound.
RZA, it was a whole different sound. Like it was crazy, man. Like this album blew me away. Like the first, like I was hitting everybody up, like, yo, this shit is fucking Ghost is on a whole nother level, MC wise, and RZA did some shit that he never done from the first Wu-Tang era production wise on this album, like Stroke of Death, like that. I was just like, damn.
That was RZA though, was it?
That was RZA. Yeah,
I'm not doubting you.
No, you can look. But
that's my favorite jam of the whole shit.
The Stroke of Death.
Yeah, the zoom.
I was like,
what the fuck is that?
I was like, what the
holy
fuck?
shit.
And then Inspector Deck did a beat on there, Stay True. I was just like, all right, Inspector Deck doing the joints. So yeah, it was. I thought this album. And at the time, even though I remember when I first saw a track list, I was like, damn, 21. But it didn't feel like it.
It's an hour and 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
About 2 or 3 of them are skits that were like fucking songs. That were as long as songs, like 2 or 3 minutes. And then, of course, the interludes.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing I also noticed too about Ghostface, as far as like, I think his content, I think it was a little more like Afrocentric, a little bit more.
He was
black.
in Africa. He had just came back from Africa.
That's right. He sure was. He was. He was in Africa. Because if you listen to Iron Man, it was still a little bit more like mafioso, like kind of built off of the Cuban links. But with this one, he was more of like kind of more conscious, more Afrocentric. He wasn't rapping about like a lot of materialistic stuff, a lot of, like just how he was.
Even the shit with the interlude with Woodrow.
Yeah.
Woodrow.
What is it?
Yeah.
Woodrow
He was like, nah, man, I love you, man. I love you, man. Dude, like, nah, man, crack stuff. You say cash rule everything around me, crack rules everything around me. Hook me up. It was like, nah, bro, I love you, man. I love you too much.
What was the 50 Cent skit thing? Was
Clyde Smith.
Clyde Smith.
Yeah, that Raekwon shit.
Yeah, because it was a response to him making the How to Ride when 50 made the How to Ride.
Yeah.
So How to Ride was out around that time. So that's why so that really was at 50.
They really,
He says in the song, he says, this 50 Cent nigga.
50 really set it off.
Which was
How to Ride.
Dude.
Jay-Z responded.
Right.
I know Jay did.
I'm just highlighting like how.
I guess I didn't remember. I guess I didn't remember Wu-Tang Clan being a part of this whole thing.
They didn't respond like lyric wise.
Oh, okay.
They were just like, we're going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
Typical Wu-Tang.
Typical Wu. Like, we don't do diss tracks. Right. You get popped in the eye when you talk shit about Wu.
Right.
But then with like the choppy flows and like Apollo Kids, man, it was just
that was the lead single. When I first heard that single. Yeah.
Man, it was just like, I didn't know it was a single.
Yeah, that was the lead single.
I didn't hear any singles.
The biggest song off of this joint?
I don't know what the biggest song is.
Church has Lagos?
Ladies love that. Ladies love that. They didn't know nothing about Supreme Clientele, but they love that
song right there.
Lagos song. Yeah.
They put that shit on in the club.
So that was
a rap.
That was the thing that obviously the sound was different, but some of the stuff was accessible to a lot of people. But that single was the one that propelled this album to the top.
It did.
Because
it was everywhere.
I put it to you like this. That song was so big that I didn't know it was Ghostface until years after. Because when I heard it, when I
just heard the tune.
I heard the tune and at the time, so let me give people a little bit of context. In 2000, I was in 10th grade. So I was going to all the house parties. I was going into 21 and over clubs, sneaking in there when I was living in Miami. So this shit came on All I knew was the tune.
The shit was in the fucking clubs of Atlanta. Like, you go to the clubs of Atlanta. Well, I wasn't in Miami, but
I feel you.
But
And it was in Florida.
the shit was up
that's
everywhere.
big.
So, and that was the thing that kind of blew my mind because I was working at Warehouse Music at the time in the mall, and everybody used to come in there. Hey man, y'all got that? And then they would either sing it or they would sing it. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, here you go. Who is that? Oh, and then is the album any good? Yeah, man, you can get the whole thing. Because even back then, I was completely honest. When you came in and you wanted to buy something, because I know they were asking for 20, I was like, nah, that shit garbage. You don't want to buy that. Oh, appreciate it. But they would always come at $20. Yeah.
The albums back in the day, in the 2000s, they was
$17.99.
First week was always
First
cheaper.
week it was always like $14.99,
Yeah.
$16.99, something
If
like
you
that.
came back after that, then it was
After that,
cheaper.
It was like $18.99.
Yep. So I was like, nah, I'm
I
not.
always knew to
let
get the
y'all
first
do that.
week out.
Yep.
So I guess first week sales always been a thing. They always promoted
Yes,
first
of
week
course.
sales.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't never even noticed it. I mean, I just bought music. I ain't care about.
But
they want to get the
charts and
product
shit.
off.
But yeah, so that was the interesting thing about this album because we know who Ghostface was. Like, you're not a mainstream radio guy, but you went mainstream intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know. But it was everywhere.
I'm like, RZA with this damn production. I'm like, that Stroke of Death shit, that blew my mind
That
when I heard
got me.
that.
I was like,
Yeah, I
holy
was like,
shit.
oh my
How are they
God.
rhyming over this so easily?
And
I
then-
can see RZA rhyming over it, but
Right.
Ghostface wasn't that type of MC.
Right.
But
And even on
He
Buck
was that
50,
day.
just the way they
Oh, that's my shit.
that Baby
That's my
Huey
shit,
sample,
too.
that Buck 50,
Man.
doing Red Man.
oh, little Red Man.
Yes.
Where he says, your weed got more seeds than ODB. Yeah. Okay.
I was just like, man, that was another production by RZA. I was like, shit, and the way that they was all rhyming on that when Redman came in, I was like, because at that time you couldn't tell me shit. I'm like, man, Redman was that dude back in that time. I'm like, yo, Redman was like one of my favorites. So, but yeah, I think everybody fit on there. I was hoping to get an ODB sighting at that time because I don't think he was
he
in
still
jail.
alive?
No, he had passed away in 2006. Yeah, man, this album. It set the stage, man. It really it set the stage for Ghostface, and it kind of gave at that time Wu-Tang like a new life because you gotta figure this was GZA had released his third album Beneath the Surface that wasn't getting that much praise. Raekwon had dropped his second LP Immortality that wasn't getting that much praise. Inspector Deck had dropped his debut solo. It wasn't really getting that much. Yeah, like I'm gonna say this was post Wu-Tang Forever. So like in that gap, it was like people was releasing their second, solo runs, and they wasn't really living up to the bill. And then like Ghostface came with the Supreme Clientele and just kind of gave life back. And then that's when Wu-Tang came out with the W. And but when Supreme Clientele hit, it just gave new life to Wu-Tang, and it just Ghostface he started as a solo artist. He kind of separated himself. He separated himself from all the rest of the art. Like from Raekwon, even though Raekwon came back and released only Biff Cuban Links 2 in 2009, but at that time, Ghost was that guy. Like he started a run, a good 3 album run, because he had Bulletproof Wallets, and then he had Fish Scale, which that joint you had. He started a run, man. So this album set it off, man, and it inspired. Kanye West. Like Kanye West admitted that album inspired him. He even sampled Mighty Healthy on Godflow.
Yep.
If y'all remember, if you're listening to Mighty Healthy, take that body.
That body.
That was the other song. I was like, okay. I was like, when I heard, I'm like,
Come have a good time with G.O.D.
I knew. Because when I hear it on here, I'm like,
wow.
man, I know that shit, but why does it sound a little slower than like this? I don't remember it sounding like
Kanye
this.
West sampled that on Cruel Summer.
I'll be fucking damn.
People have sampled Nutmeg too, right? Or I'm tripping.
I'm sure they have.
Probably. If they sampled it, they did a good job of flipping it the way where I couldn't hear it. But yeah, I mean, this album, inspired Kanye. Kanye said a lot of his production style was inspired from the way that RZA started changing his producing style on his album. So,
And it almost seems like I'm just thinking about this now, just listening to you kind of just talk and thinking about the albums that came afterward. It was like this kind of gave him the blueprint for the rest of his albums. In terms of sound, in terms of style.
Kanye when he heard this album, when he was, and he started making beats, he was making beats. Some of the beats for Blueprint was intended for Ghostface, but Jay heard him and was like, oh, I gotta have this. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. Like some of them beats, I don't know which ones, but he said when he was in the beat making process for Blueprint, some of them beats he already made.
I can just see girls. I can see Ghostface rapping over that.
But yeah, man, this shit, man.
I know.
Critically acclaimed, like shit.
Shit like the Blueprint, ain't it, boy? Why is it a classic? I think we all agree that it's classic.
Yeah. What?
Oh, okay. Well, is it a classic or why is it a classic?
For me, it's a classic mainly because, first of all, there's no skippable tracks. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. I think that's something that we always kind of talk about. But for me personally, when I originally digested it wasn't. But I can see why people put this so far up there. You know, especially when you listen to all of Ghost's projects. You know, this is definitely one of the better ones. But I don't know. Like, you know, like for me, I outside of Church's La Ghost, I don't remember the impact that it had. At that time, I definitely wasn't into Wu-Tang and guys like that, and the people I hung around weren't necessarily into this type of hip hop. So I don't really know the impact that it had, but
this was a good album.
It was, you know, people were saying at that time it was a good album or whatever. But yeah, I would consider it a classic, definitely.
Yeah, I think the perception is that it is a classic. And, you know...
Where do you see this at?
I do see it as a classic. I think one reason is that...
No, I'm just saying the perception. Like, where have you seen it? People saying that this Supreme Clientele is a classic.
Oh, just online and hip-hop circle, just seeing people just overall, just in general, talk about this album. When people talk about Ghostface, this album is coming up. It's going to be one of the...
True if they're talking about Ghostface, but if they're talking about hip-hop, is this one of those albums that is mentioned?
I don't know. I think it could. I think it would.
But
I think it depends on who you're talking to.
It definitely
as with
depends.
Anything, but
of course, but still though, if you get a collection of hip hop heads that aren't necessarily just Wu heads, the first 10 to 15 albums they name won't have Supreme Clientele in it.
But I don't think that lessens its impact or its
fine.
appeal as a classic.
20 to 25. I think
there's a lot of hip hop albums.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that. How strong of a classic is it?
So okay, so in Wu-Tang,
Why you disagree?
I don't think this album comes up.
yeah,
I would never argue it being a classic or not, but I am 100% with Feefo. I don't hear this album come up.
You might hear Chronic, you might hear Illmatic, you might hear The Rage That Dies or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but those...
feeling like me, the room is getting smaller, buddy. The room's getting smaller.
Do you think people will mention Only Built for Cuban Links before this?
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
And they might have mentioned Cal before this.
Yes.
They'll mention Liquid Sword before this.
Hell yeah.
I would even venture to say that Fish Scale might come up before this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can go either way.
I guess I'm a man on the island with this one. I have seen people mention this album with high regard and as a classic. When I think about that time in the year 2000, that's why when I look at this, and that's kind of my criteria for some of these discussions that we have. Like, we talk about impact, and that was uncommon for a Wu-Tang project at that time after the end of the 36 Chambers to go beyond like hip hop heads. It set a precedent, like B mentioned earlier. You know, Kanye took inspiration from that and developed a style from it, was making beats for Jay making beats for Ghostface that Jay took. So I think it had long-lasting impact and influence on albums down the line. That's why I think it's a classic.
I've never even thought of using the word classic when I first listened to this album. I just thought it was amazing.
Dope.
But
Yeah.
classic never always entered my mind, man. Is it a classic to me? Yeah, because I guess at the time when I thought as a big time Wu-Tang fan, I thought Wu-Tang was starting to lose their steam. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned earlier in the review that, like, you know, everybody was dropping their second solo projects and it just wasn't right. RZA wasn't producing on them and all that stuff. So, you know, I'm thinking RZA was losing his production edge, and for him to smack me in the face with this album, you know, him and Ghostface, for them to come and make this album like this and to blow me away. Ghost sounding and rhyming completely different from his earlier Wu days. RZA producing completely different from his earlier Wu days, and to still make a great body of work for me to pop in and let it play, and for me to be amazed. That's why it's a classic to me.
I don't know. I've never thought about it until today. I really haven't. It was just a matter of this is a dope ass Ghostface album. I never really considered whether or not it's a classic. I honestly don't know. I don't know that it really matters that much. We're just talking because we talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. That. Yeah.